You're strong.
I know.
It's okay. I've got you now.
Just like in the movies.
Welcome to SuperWonder Legacy and the Return of Comics League from a week off. I'm Jared. I'm here with Britt. How you doing, Britt?
Hello, hello. I'm good.
So we are talking about our favorite Superman Wonder Woman covers. In other words, covers that are like them together or that hint that them together. And I got to say, Britt, when I was going through all the pictures you sent, I was like, there are some of these where I'm like, wow, this is like extensive.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, they have more covers than your regular status quo pairings, for sure.
Exactly. So, getting started. Let me make sure this works. Okay, good. So, first off, this, and we'll talk more in depth about this when we get this covered, but I wanted to use this as the title page for the PowerPoint because this wraparound cover for Superman Wonder Woman, I think it really effectively like shows the blending of their two worlds because you have like
Exactly.
Superman side on here. And by the way, isn't it kind of interesting? I said this with Taladia, how the Zod and Feora designs were clearly inspired by Man of Steel.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly.
there you go. And it's like with Diana, and that's the thing where I've heard a detractor say that their worlds don't like match, and I'm like, the book shows me they do.
Yeah, I mean, you have Apollo like juicing up Kryptonians.
Without even knowing it. That is my favorite moment in the New 52, maybe even Superman comics ever, is when Clark goes, "You really don't know that much about me, do you?"
Yeah. Is the fact that he can go toe to toe with gods, all of them, even the one who not say his name, but the trial of the gods within the truth arc, how the gods tested him. Yeah.
Not saying his name. I was like, "Who are you talking?" And then when he said, "Oh,
Yeah.
well done."
Yeah. Testing Clark, seeing if he's worthy for Diana, and then the fact that Diana, could take on two Kryptonians herself. And she really blends in with the world, even with the regular world, because the only fumble or flaw is that New 52 Diana, so she wasn't really in that element of ambassador yet,
Oh yeah, that's
but
true.
they could have showed that a little bit more to where the reporter and the ambassador element, that's the
I
only
think they
thing that was
would have
missing.
had the book gone on. That's what I
Yeah.
think they would have. Because remember, even though that this is taking place 5 years away from when they first met and stuff, when she first arrived, it was still early in her career, so they could still say, and they could have still gone where, and I think that's what they were building toward with Diana trying to like negotiate peace first on her island between the men and the women, and then once she got them together, she could be like, okay, now we have to open ourselves to the world.
Exactly. But
So,
of course, rebirth.
of course, rebirth, exactly. So, first cover, we have all the way in 1958. Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane. And this is the thing. Whenever anyone tells me, oh, Lois Lane had a really successful series, she had her own series. Yeah, labeled Superman's girlfriend.
Yeah, the thing is, within that time, and we've covered that, is Superman he was the top dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even with DC, it was called Superman Comics before. Um, And so, of course, his supporting cast is going to be just as successful. But
Hmm.
that's it. Like, it's still his supporting cast. There wasn't many superhero characters yet within that time. Batman was kind of getting there, but struggling a little bit. Wonder Woman, she was having her own struggles because as a female character, how she was supposed to be, of course, men, in ways in comics, don't really support having, especially within that time, having a woman who's the hero. And then Marston's problematic, you know, elements within her story. So by default, Superman and his cast was a little bit safer to be more successful. But within the Lois Lane book, her whole purpose was scheming and like all this shenanigans to get Superman to marry her. It wasn't about like a reporter actually doing something for the world. She was just trying to get Superman to marry her or any other love interest or whatever that he had. It was basically to use that love interest sometimes as a mouthpiece, like they did with Diana, and say, like, oh no, even though it's obvious that Clark and Diana is better together, meant to be, or even with Lena, it was still, this is Lois's book, of course. So it had to be, no, Superman is in love with Lois. That,
But I do again. I love the captions on this cover. No, 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 no! I know why Superman's marrying Wonder Woman instead of me. She just saved my life. They're a super team.
right. It has been a lot of that through decades of Lois, her inner thoughts of Clark and Diana being this perfect team, and they can be the perfect couple, but of course, for the status quo, nostalgia, whatever, that is why he's still with her.
Yeah. Well, status quo nostalgia, the biggest killers of creativity in comic books. By
Right.
the way, I wanted to ask you. By the way, so in terms of Diana, do you prefer like the more like cloth leotard, or are you more on the armor like side of the argument?
Um, Honestly, I'm 50-50. As long as she look good. I mean, I really don't care. She's
Mhm.
going to um look good, look like a boss anyway. So whatever she wears, it doesn't really matter to me. Um, I can go for, even with her having the pants, the whole controversy with the bodysuit or with the pants, that I really don't see the issue of the suit. It's just as long as she's in character and doing what she's supposed to do, that's all that
Yeah.
matters to me.
But so I was talking to David Finch like a couple of years ago at a con, and one of the things he said, because I had him sign my trade of Wonder Woman, and it was the one with the full bodysuit she got in the new 52. So I asked him what was like the impetus for them making that change, and he told me he said well, it was because they wanted to put her in a full bodysuit instead of in a bikini. It lasted up until the point that the fans freaked out and were like, okay, no, we want her in the bikini. This looks weird. I like the costume. I think it looks dope as hell. But I do also like her classic look a little more.
Yeah, I mean, the classic look, the reason for it, really, she's supposed to have like a skirt, but
Mm-hmm.
the classic bathing suit look is to emphasize, you know, a woman being secure in her looks, in her beauty or whatever. So that's what it's about. And I mean, if that's her character, her purpose, then why change it? Of course, you wouldn't have her, you can have like certain um different attires for different stories or different battles, but I really don't care. I mean, honestly, they can switch it up a little bit within different arcs. Let her have different, like, wardrobe or something like that. you know, just do something fun.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I would be so in favor of that. Next cover, Wonder Woman 212, 1974 by Bob Oskner. Please, Wonder Woman, you must come back. You must come back to Justice League, and I need you. No, Superman, I can't.
This is so dramatic.
I
mean,
know. Just the doing this.
this is so soap opera, like your grandmother watching the daytime soap operas or
Which here's the
telenovela.
thing, though, it makes sense when you think about these superheroes as like our modern day like mythology. So there was a lot of that like crazy, like overly dramatic things. But I just love how it's the stereotypical way of showing drama. Oh no, the fist on the head, the like turn of the torso. It's really funny.
And it's like they are so in reach of each other. and and Clark is like having his hand like his 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 heart or something is about to drop or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
he's
just
like,
so
what am I doing? I'm holding my S. And I love how Hal Jordan is just there in the background.
yeah, he's just there. And Bruce just looks like I don't know what he looked like. He
Yeah,
just
he's
looked like
Bruce
he's
is
just
like
staring.
Clark. What do you, it'll be hilarious. Is that I can imagine if I were writing the story, I would have this be the cover, but the entire the story is like Clark. It's like Clark and Diana like making fun of Bruce for like being overly dramatic, and he goes, "Okay, guys, just stop."
Yeah.
That
That's
would be so good.
I mean, the old school covers I noticed too is that Batman is always in a corner. Like
Yes, yes. He's always like about actually, you know what that you know why that is, Britt? It's because how else is he gonna do the trick where you turn around and he's gone?
yeah. I mean, because even on this corner, he's like half in, half out, and he's like, should I be here or not? And then it's Barry. He
Yeah,
just looked like
he's about to run, so I'm like, where are you going?
if he's going to like stop Diana or something, where is he running to? But yeah, this over dramatic cover to me, when I first saw it, I really did think that this was like some type of soap opera, and or a funny like just a funny fan art or something. But to actually have it as a cover, it is you know again you're playing with the Silver Age elements and everything. So yeah, it's really cute. I saw it on a T-shirt too. So this is one of the many covers that a lot of people, you know, favor for Superman and Wonder Woman. And it is that you would think that they are like a couple.
But by the way, speaking of merch, by the way, A, that will be in next week's episode. We're going to talk about merch, and B, I ordered the Superman Wonder Woman iPhone case.
Oh wow, you did.
It's on its way from Amazon. I ordered the selfie iPhone case.
Oh, I know it is beautiful.
And then
That
I am going to order the Xbox skin for it.
skins, yeah.
Yes, I will do it. It's happening. Next cover. Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane. Was this when Wonder Woman lost her powers because of Denny O'Neil?
Yeah, this is the
Yeah.
mod era. This is well, this is what I was talking about with um basically being used as a mouthpiece, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's contradictory. It shows that even without Diana's powers, um, she's still a better fit, you know.
Mm-hmm. I just love Superman. Superman's just sitting there watching it as Lois being thrown over Diana's shoulder. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just enjoying the show."
Yeah, it's like just let them fight for me. Um,
He's even
but
leaning in intently. That's the
yeah,
funny part.
but well, first within this story is a fake Diana, of course. Um,
Mhm.
and I think the real Diana ends up saying, "Well, no, he likes you more than me or something like that.
Hashtag
Whatever.
bait and switch.
Yeah. So that was that. But again, the cover is honestly more entertaining than
It's so good. I love that. When
than
I
what's
saw
in the book.
this, for the first time, I was like, oh wow. Really, and I love featuring the Superman Wonder Woman team that we wouldn't have until 2014. I'm still
I mean,
salty about that, where Superman and Batman got a team up, but not Superman and Wonder Woman. Ignoring the Trinity concept, ignoring that,
well, like
they're
we've
your
already
three
covered.
most, they're your three faces of DC.
Well, like we covered, Batman and Superman can have a team up because they're bros,
Mm-hmm.
and so that can be. But with Superman and Wonder Woman, it's more complicated because there's the romantic element.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have, they can, but not really because it will feel so unnatural. They have to have some slight romantic element within their story.
Ah, I
So
see. I know because as we've seen, by the way, with like Wonder Woman 800 or anything like that, whenever they're drawn together, yeah, it's in a very romantic sense.
yeah, so it's like they can't really have team even with the post-crisis team ups. It was always that element of will they, won't they, or even are they? Like are they, aren't they type thing. Um even po- the thing with post-crisis was publicly they were a celebrity couple. You
Mm-hmm.
know how people run stories is kind of like Superman and Wonder Woman are together, or even I think in one story, it's not post crisis, but it was maybe an Elseworld or something like that. But even Jimmy, he thought that Clark and Diana was already married.
Good old
It's
Olsen.
yeah, so um yeah, that was just the thing. Even Connor, he was saying, I think it was Superman 211, and he said that Clark and Diana were going at it or whatever, arguing, basically like an old married couple, and he told them to get a room. So
There you go. And then was it Connor that Diana was talking about when she says, "Of course I love him." Dot dot dot. Another bait and switch.
yeah, that bait and switch, of course, was for Greg Rucka because he didn't want Diana to be, within that love single square with Clark, Lois, Lena, and Lena. Um, but yeah, it was basically that. Connor always asked that. It seemed like he was the one that pretty much was used to say certain things like that. But yeah, he asked her, does she love him? And she says she does. But the way it's drawn, of course, is kind of like she seems a little bit more intimate. But the next
She's
page, you
touching
have
his
it.
brow, and yeah, her pose. Like I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. And then the next page is kind of like, I love him as a friend, and it's kind of yeah, we don't
Not
believe it.
according to your posture. And friends don't stroke the brow intimately. I got news. If you're doing that with your female friends, there might be something there. Next
Right.
cover. This one, all right, Justice League of America 121 by Dick Dillon. What marriage would bring Earth's greatest superheroes to another world 25 trillion miles away?
So I think this is Adam Strange, I
Mm-hmm.
believe.
Yeah, it
I
is.
believe. So what was so interesting about this cover is that of course you have Black Canary and Green Arrow like lovey-dovey.
Mm-hmm.
And then you right on the other side, Superman and Wonder Woman, like they are the next couple, or they are a married couple watching a new couple get married. I for so long for people to just think that Superman and Wonder Woman are just New 52 or from
Mm-mm.
Kingdom Come or from a Frank Miller's, universe. It's like, no, go back to
Actually, look, I know this is hard for people. Actually, read the books. I know that's
yeah,
hard for people.
yeah. It's like even even with the covers, it can be bait and clickbait, sure, but at the same time, they have had so much history and the covers conveyed it. I mean, they stand out so much. There's even a panel of Aquaman and Mira wedding ceremony, and those two stand out, and it looks like they're staring at each other, like it's kind of like
Hmm.
they're communicating that that they want to get married or something. But yeah, with the art, it's something about like what pretty much what Bertel said. She said that she was paid for it, like she got the script or whatever, but at the same time, obviously someone told her to draw it that way, or naturally, um,
But on that,
it
real quick, I want to say she was more like, what's the word? Like professional than a lot of DC writers because she was paid to do this job and she's like, okay, fine. She didn't throw a hissy fit like, no, Superman's supposed to be intimate with Lois. And
yeah,
I see too many creatives that are like refusing to do this, or like Dan Jurgens that said, I don't want to write that. Or it's like, what do you think would have happened if Jen Bartel said, I don't want to draw that. I hate that.
yeah, she pretty much was like, I'm getting paid for it, and obviously she got paid, a pretty penny or something
Because
because she did
they
it.
got their money's worth on that one.
Yeah. So, even with Immortal Wonder Woman, how, I mean, Conrad, it seemed like he, I would say Conrad only because when um the Diana and Cal Twitter replied to a fan asking, are they a couple again? And they said, well, it's is written in a sense of interpretation. You can interpret them as a couple, or you can interpret them as like something friends with benefits or something like
But
that.
the problem with that is like, okay, he's still married to Lois. If he were not married to Lois, I could see that being interpretation. That's the problem with that because when he says that, where you have all these obvious like reasons why it probably couldn't be that, I think that that's just him not wanting to piss people off.
Yeah, he basically admitted, that it was ambiguous,
Hmm.
and even Wonder Woman 800, it was ambiguous. With Immortal, when that became a whole thing, I mean, yeah, you can tell your friend you love them or whatever you can, but the way that was written was definitely more than a friend kind of love.
The way when she thinks like I find myself sometimes hoping his last thoughts were of me as she's crying and like clutching his cape. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that, and then within the whole run when Clark was mentioned or something, or they would have a scene, like when there was in the Hall of Justice, how he told her that, you can always talk to me.
Mhm.
Um when he came back from War World, she said, I'll always answer your call or something like that.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, Philip Kennedy Johnson, thank you
No,
for
that was
this.
actually Conrad.
Oh, that was actually okay. This is why I'm so like. This is why I'm a little bit like what because Clunrad's Wonder Woman run was historically bad, but then he gives me this.
Yeah. And the when Diana came back from when she was dead, or
I
whatever.
mean,
Um,
you mean her whole Valhalla thing?
yeah, when she came back, like the um the hug, the more intimate hug was with Clark, and was saying how much they missed each other or whatever. Then you have I think it was when they were in the old watchtower, that little issue. It seemed like she was flirting in the first pages, like she was twirling her hair or something, and they was talking about um haikus and being poetic or something. and then
Yeah.
um and then within the whole issue, she was saying how Clark knows how to get his hands dirty, and
Jeez.
and then
Oh, I'll bet she knows that.
yeah, and and then it was the last one where Clark says he will always be there for her or something like that. So yeah, that whole issue was very much a um subtle, ambiguous type thing, with Batman being like the third wheel. Um and then you have Wonder Woman 800. I mean, Superman and Wonder Woman, that story basically had the most standout art, even with them trying to kind of give Steve that whole thing. It seemed rushed. It seemed like um they were trying to have them together, even with having him like dream kiss her. But that was basically ignored, of course, because nobody cares about Steve. And it was the Superman and Wonder Woman story that kind of made people talk about it.
Yeah, because otherwise, I read the issue. I enjoyed it. I don't think people would have talked about it if that were not put in there.
No, no way. Even with Batman's dream, I mean, unless you romanticize a kid,
Which or you
some
want
do.
Diana to be romanticizing a kid, which I have issues with that.
Yeah, very much so. That was the only thing. And even that it really just showed Batman as, within his mind, he is still like that lost child.
Yeah, he never grew up. In other words.
Yeah, and what he wants is basically like a mother figure or something to comfort him. He isn't looking for a romance. He's looking for comfort and comforting that little boy. So to try to romanticize that is very weird.
Yeah.
Um, and then,
Next.
like I said, mhm,
Okay, but go ahead while I transition to the next
the
cover.
next one.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, and then you have right after that, you have the Superman and Wonder Woman um story. And yeah, it was, like I said, I the way that DC has done the relationship, I'm very skeptical about things. I'm not even cautiously optimistic or anything.
Mm-mm.
Um so I pretty much I was cautiously optimistic only because Conrad was writing and what he's done, you know, from previous issues. I did expect like for Diana to basically, um, I'll say, speak on um, Lois or something like that. Like Clark's dream would be about his family. I did not expect them to have a one-on-one.
Yeah,
Um,
that's when I was like, of all the of all the way you could have done. Again, th- it just astounds me how whenever both of them have dreams, it's about whenever Superman has dreams, he's not with Lois. He's with either Lana or Diana.
yeah, I saw a comment actually that said, with the whole Kryptonian projection thing and
Hmm.
how they were all touchy feely and the whole, here we are type thing and the hug in projection space. It was like the comment was like, he hasn't even done that with Lois. Like
Yeah,
the way
exactly.
that was so simple, but you supposed to read this as friends or whatever. But if you take off the dialogue, or even keeping the dialogue, is very much, or even more so with the dialogue, is very much so
He's
you
looking
would
at
think
her and
they're a
saying,
couple.
"So beautiful." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it that whole thing says a lot.
But yes, it does. Now, speaking of saying a lot, I love this cover. And by the way, shrewd minds that listen to the show more often will know that we actually talked about this cover a while ago. But so we have here Lois shows up and goes, "What's going on, Steve? I show up for my date with Superman and find him kissing that Amazon." And then Steve goes, looks to me like she is kissing him, Lois." I just love this cover of Lois being like in a scowl, and I'm guessing this is one of those situations where Cupid showed up and shot her with an arrow. But still, I'm like, okay, I dig this.
Well, first, Arrow, even though he was basically salty because Diana rejected him, it's still the fact that Eros has so much to do with Clark and Diana. Even within the New 52, the young romance, when
Ah,
that is when he shot Clark with a bullet, you know. So this cover, well, this whole story is again a very much a bait and switch thing, because it shows that they are inevitable, that they are meant to be, but at the same time, they can't because of the status quo.
yeah, and when you can think about it, it's like right here, Lois and Steve kind of represent the status quo, and basically think about it like this: here's the New 52, and here's Twitter.
Yeah, the thing about Twitter or X, whatever, like so many creators are now like admitting that Twitter is only like less than 5%.
Then why are you catering to it? That's the astounding part. You're a business.
Exactly. And it's kind of like, and then to have some of the creators like begging for people to buy the books. Like, okay, yeah, we would buy the books if you would not be so petty and throwing jabs and everything like that. It's not so much as give us what we want, but at the same time, it very much is give us what we want, because we know what was successful. New 52 was very flawed. It was. But at the same time, it did succeed at where it needed to succeed. So to try to the whole revisionist thing of that it was a complete failure, that, fans walked away, that's a total lie. It did bring in fans. The whole problem that even then the deal admitted was going back to nostalgia. And basically, nostalgia is basically cutting DC at the kneecaps,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much.
True.
So, so yeah, with this cover, again, it's pretty much showing. Oh, it's one of those covers again that's very iconic for Superman and Wonder Woman. That should be a statue that
Yes.
is used for pop art, um, and um, paintings. I think even I don't know. It's a mural somewhere.
But by the way, if I had this as a statue, I would request, can you have Lois and Steve like standing out to the side too, so I can have. That's my favorite part. Just seeing them stewer. Like, yes, yes, let the hate flow through you.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I mean, all of the covers really should be um turned into some type of statue.
Yeah, but here's the thing. With my luck, they'll end up being like $900, like a certain Superman and Wonder Woman statue that I want.
Right. Like I told you in the messages, that would be like selling your arm, leg, kidney, your liver, everything, just to have that one statue.
Astounding. All right. This one. Okay, I have a major pet peeve with this one. I love the cover. It's just the story that goes along with it, because this is building off to like Superman and Wonder Woman's books, I believe, because at this time you have George Perez on Wonder Woman. He's writing, oh, Diana's so excited she's getting a date with Superman. So we have that part. Then they do the Man of Steel series where, all right, so they go on a date, find out, it's not for us, and then we're better off as just friends. And I'm like, thanks, Superman editorial.
The thing is, it wasn't even that simple though. It really was like just a awkward kiss, but I think the previous issue, it wasn't an awkward kiss. It wasn't shown as that. It was shown as like very consensual. So to change it the very next issue as like Clark moving too fast or whatever, or making it awkward, yeah, that whole bait and switch thing was unnecessary. And then yeah, Superman editorial, well, specifically Byrne, he wanted Clark to really be just I'm just a human. So with Diana and who she is as a goddess, or he thought he basically belittled himself, and he wasn't ready for that. He just wanted a regular life type thing. So their differences really were contrived, I would say. And even Perez, he basically brought it up with Diana, speaking through Diana, was basically saying, I thought that Superman would be with me with, moving forward and trying to change the status quo or challenge it. But instead, he's more so like his protector, or he, set in the ways of man in a problematic kind of way. So yeah, they shot themselves in the foot yet again with that. It's a beautiful cover. It's, very much clickbaity. People are gonna want it. They even recolored
I gotta
it
be honest,
for...
I want it. And you know what's kind of funny? That's the cover of a trade.
Yeah, they recolored it, and yeah, that's the cover for it. But the content, the interior, is just so like, why?
It's so Rebirth. Yes, that's gonna be our thing on stuff that was a really bad idea. This one, all right, I like this one. This one's hilarious because it's all right. So, but what's interesting is that it looks like Wonder Woman is like protecting Superman because her knees are facing us. So I guess this could kind of be an interesting little like showing that she will always protect him.
Yeah, that's exactly what this cover is. I forgot the content of the issue, but yeah, it's pretty much her protecting him. I think this is where she says the I love you, explaining if she loves him.
Oh, the bait and switch?
Yeah, I think, but I'm not quite sure. It might be, but yeah, she's basically protecting him, as she always does.
Which, yes, exactly. And here's the thing, and this is why Wonder Woman works for Superman. It's like, and Lois doesn't, because whenever Lois tries to like deal with Superman's world, it doesn't work, or it comes off as forced. Like, as much as I love the War World saga, that first part where she has a gun and she's like taking on like Kryptonian criminals, I'm like, what? it doesn't work. It's like when they put her in the Hellbat suit, or when like she basically it's really the Hellbat suit, because with Diana, you don't have to make her other characters or like play her up for her to be badass and awesome. She is badass and awesome.
Yeah, even within that saga, and the funny thing is how that was dropped so fast was that she was in the fortress, I guess, trying to learn the history of Krypton or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, if this is post-crisis Superman and how long they've been married, and then having John, you're saying that she's just now interested to learn about Krypton? That, you know, that really doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't. Where with Diana, she freaking learned Kryptonian.
Yeah, upon like a few months of dating, it was like she wanted to know so much of the Kryptonian language of everything. I mean, that pretty much shows where the interest lies of how to make the Clark and Lois relationship quote unquote work, and how you make and Wonder Woman, Clark and Diana's relationship work. You have to have the elements of putting Clark and Cal together, that you can't ignore either side. But with Lois, it's kind of like it's easy to ignore the Cal
And it's
side.
encouraged.
Yeah. I mean, that is what post crisis is all about, is flipping his whole character around into the whole Clark is who I am, Superman is what I do,
Which
Krypton.
I hate.
Yeah, the quote Krypton bred me,
Mm-hmm.
but Earth raised me, or whatever that is. I cannot stand that page quote or whatever, because it really makes Krypton seem like just something to be ashamed of. And
Yeah.
you should never be ashamed of your culture.
No, particularly if Superman is having this like is the refugee superhero. You don't forget about your true home, if you will, about your other culture. You just don't.
Yeah, and I don't like it when Superman fans, well, they're not Superman fans. They're mostly like, I would say, Clark Kent Daily Planet fans,
Mm-hmm.
because when talking about Krypton, they always say, well, he was too young to know about it. He shouldn't care. It's like that. No, in reality, if that wasn't Krypton's, I mean, well, it was Krypton's fault, with their whole not listening to the dangers and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, he should know where he comes from, should learn it, because in reality, when kids are adopted or when kids are taken away from their parents, you know, in reality, we have to think of medical history, even within its fiction. I'm talking in the sense of reality. Your medical history, your ancestry, you know, some things that you do as a person, your interests. Sometimes your interests can come from a bloodline of certain things. Um, Even your legacy, period. You should want to know your truth as a person. Because say for instance, if something is wrong, um, if something is wrong with you, like I said, medically, and like your blood type, um or a certain like genetic issue, you have to know these things. So to say that he shouldn't care about it or shouldn't know is totally wrong. if you want realistic elements put in these comics, that is something that you have to take in consideration of.
Exactly. Next cover. This one I freaking love. It's the Wonder Woman 1988 by Brian Boland. I just love, first off, mulleted Superman, baby. I love that. It just looks so good. I wish they either kept that or the beard. I prefer the beard because I think Superman would look really good with a beard, and he had one in the New 52,
52.
but they got rid of it, which I'm like, no. But anyway, I love this because it's kind of, it reminds me a lot of that clip from War World where she has her hand on his chest and goes, "My Clark." He has his arm around her and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Superman. I have the one arm on my hips, but I also have them around the object of my affections."
Exactly. This, I mean, I think this issue, no, this not the issue, but one issue is again when they are um very much supposed to be just friends, but I think no, I think this is the issue where he like kisses her on the cheek because she's or both needing advice about something. So yeah, it's still they should be friends, but with the underlying romantic type element within there. Um, the mullet, I don't know. I much prefer a beard.
Yeah, me too. That's why one of them I could go with, but I much prefer the beard because I think the beard, it shows like his maturity and it makes him look awesome.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, when New 52 had the beard, of course, it's some that didn't like it because, Superman's supposed to be clean shaved.
Says who?
It says purist.
I know, but that's the way I respond to these people. I'm like, well, actually, according to DC, he can be. So I only care about what DC says this character should be, even though sometimes they could be like listening to the wrong people. But the point is, I only care about DC's opinions about these characters. But go on, Britt.
Yeah. So, um, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dan Jurgens had a little something to say about the beard.
That explains it.
Oh, New 52. But yet
Mhm.
you have Rebirth or the Convergence of Superman or whatever
Had a
with the
beard.
beard. So
He
it's
was in the
kind of
beard and the
like,
black suit, I think.
yeah. So it's kind of like the double standard or the fact that a lot of the elements within the 52, knowing that it was popular, they want to downplay it and they want to talk about it, but then turn around and use it for basically what they prefer. And it's kind of like, no, the beard was really New 52, like he made it popular just like how Superman and Wonder Woman made Power Couple popular. Um, just like, well, Man of Steel and New 52 made the trunkless suit a popular thing. You have the Superman and Lois show where Tyler has um a trunkless suit and he's like stubble or has like 5 o'clock
And
shadow.
by the way, they did the trunks thing actually really well in that they made it so it was the past suit, and then his modern suit did not have the trunks. I liked when they did that, and I hope that what they could do in Superman Legacy to like appease both crowds, have the trunks be like the first suit he made in like a flashback, and then have the actual suit be like trunkless.
Yeah, well, the thing is, um, James Gunn already said that this is going to be a present day story, and Clark is still in like the beginning stages of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So, And his inspiration is pretty much is all
Yeah, all trunks. I mean, he has said it just depends on the way the suit looks because he's doing a lot of costume tests, and he even challenged a fan because the fan said it just looks so good with the trunks. It's obvious, and he goes, when you're looking at so many suit designs per day, nothing's obvious.
Yeah, I really hope that the live action, it worked in the 70s, but live action now, please do not do the trunks like that. It doesn't look good. Like,
Or at least if you want to have a coloration there, just have like a red coloration in that area. Don't have the belt or anything like that. Just have the red coloration. In other words, if you want to have a red part there, don't make it look like trunks.
yeah, I mean, I really prefer the belt of the, because other than that, it's gonna look like a onesie. So,
True.
so, so you need a belt, and that works. The trunks just doesn't work, and especially with Corn David.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with seeing him, it just wouldn't. I can't picture it as with trunks, and I think really I blame Cavill for that because
Wait,
he
whoa,
made the suit.
whoa, whoa, whoa. We
He
don't
made the
blame
suit look
that.
so good.
Yes. So in other words, he was too handsome.
He made the suit look good without the trunks, and it's like that is how Superman, modern Superman, is supposed to be. It's just like whether you and especially when he had different colors too. Like they changed the blue so many times.
Yeah, it was fader. It was duller in Man of Steel. Then it got a little brighter in BVS. Also in BVS, they changed the actual S as well. I mean, the whole suit was pretty much changed. And then let's not forget, they even changed colors into Zack Snyder's Justice League, where he shows up in a black suit.
Black suit, and then and also kind of like he didn't have a belt, but it was like that little waist design or whatever.
He kind of had a belt. Hang on, I'll hold up the hot toy. He kind of does, like right there, kind of.
Yeah, that. And then it was the suit for Black Adam was a little bit lighter. It was like a royal blue.
Well, what they did, as far as I'm aware, is that was just the Man of Steel suit. It's just they cranked up the brightness on it.
Oh, okay. Well, that brightness worked perfectly because that really matched Henry. And yeah, that suit just looked good. Please do not put the underwear on there because it just would
Because
not work.
here's the problem that they're going to run into. Because you now have an entire generation of people that see Superman without the trunks. Because they're shooting for the movie-going audience. The movie-going audience is not necessarily the comic book audience. There is some overlap, 100%. I'm one of them. But the general movie-going audience sees Superman without the trunks now, and then you're all of a sudden going to throw them in there. It's going to be too jarring.
Even in comics now, the trunks just
It doesn't look,
do not
because we noticed
look
DC
right.
knows this because they didn't give him the trunks until the other He Who Must Not Be Named came on the book.
Right. And I mean well, Jim Lee said that it was all that the trunk would always come back or like that suit. I'm like, no, that was
Sure.
never gonna come back. It was just for
Basically,
the
you know what's
promotion.
kind of funny? They're constantly saying, "Oh yeah, New 52 is always supposed to be temporary." Says who? Because according to interviews, that's wrong.
Yeah, they backpedaled a lot, and then but everything you're saying is very contradictory, and yeah, what you said in interviews months prior is totally different from what you're saying. Even Bendis pretty much admitted, he said, well, if he's gonna write Superman, he's going to he wanted the trunks back. So
And by the way, you said his name.
oh
Why did you say that name?
yeah. So yeah, the trunks, if Even Batman, he has the trunks, but it's kind of like it's kind of fading within his suit.
I don't think he has them anymore.
It depends on the artist. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't.
Because hang on, I'm pulling up a trade of Tom King's Batman because I know he changed suits in that. I mean, he kind of has it, but see, here's the thing with Batman. It's less noticeable because it's
Because it's
like
a black
black
suit.
trunks. Yeah, it's black trunks as opposed to like bright red. So that's why actually for the longest time I never noticed that Batman had trunks as well.
It was pretty much like a Mandela effect
Mm-hmm.
because you really did notice exactly. You didn't notice that Batman has trunks until somebody pointed it out to you. It's kind of like, oh, he's always had trunks. Unless it was the suit when he had like gray and the blue or whatever. That was in the 70s.
That's where it was instantly like, yes, I could see it. But yeah, for the most part, it's also because the Batman suit has always been a certain level of like gray and blacks because it's like a stealth suit pretty much.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's less like in your face. Where with this, it doesn't look as good. But anyway, next cover. By the way, speaking of non-subtle covers, this next one. I'm sorry, there's no way you can spin this except romantic. Are you ready, Britt?
Yeah.
Look at this one.
Yeah. Well, of course you can't. And it's a very tragic, bittersweet cover. But
Oh, wait, is this the story? I know exactly what story this was. Was this the one where they're in a dream sequence where Superman married Wonder Woman?
yeah,
Ah, there you
they
go. I remembered it. And I remember the a lot of this is bait and switch, or like this is a dream made by our inner desires, but we can't pursue it because I'm with Lois, but you secretly deserve Diana or like desire Diana.
in the quote he says, um, a part of him feels that this is right, that he wants it, but they aren't in love, that he loves someone else. So yeah, it's basically their desires, obviously of wanting to be together, right. They know that it's right. But of course, status quo, good. The way to spin this, or the how they spent it, was the yellow roses.
Mm-hmm.
And the yellow rose basically means friendship.
But
So,
wait a second, ignoring the roses. Look at how they're holding. I don't hold my female friends like that.
yeah, and then with having the lasso, they're both with their hands on the lasso, is basically saying
It's
it's
just the
saying a
truth.
lot. It's
But
saying a lot.
just look at how close their faces are.
Yeah, it's basically like I'm in love with my best friend, but we can't be together.
Which to a
Yeah,
degree, that's the tragic as hell story. That see, if he weren't married to Lois, they could have milked this for a long time and like made that a subplot of their books. Like I'm in love, like she's in love with him and he's in love with her, but for the moment they don't think they can be together, and then they eventually say, "Screw it, let's be together." See, that's a way they could have had all of this, but still had it end up being the way it should be.
yeah. That is what post crisis basically played upon, is that when Byrne did that whole bait and switch in Action 600, a lot of times, of course, a lot of people want to use that, just that, to say that Superman and Wonder Woman, don't belong together. Like that's it, that's all. But of course, they want to ignore what comes afterwards, which is the part of Clark basically saying he's not good enough for Diana, and when they end up basically backpedaling to more of a the one that got away. I should have, pursued this. and then admitting that they were young, they didn't understand it yet. They kind of rushed it, and it was like a okay, maybe in another life type thing.
And the
Yeah,
funny part is that when they are more mature, they still desire it.
yeah. It's like um I think it was a couple of issues afterwards, and I think they meet up again and they hug, and the public is saying for them to kiss or something like that, and they talk about it, still wanting to just be friends, but you still get that sense of, well, maybe they can try it later on. And so within that time, of course, it's really the Superman editorial or the Superman writers that really, hammered down the idea of Clark going more towards the human element. And so, in order for him to be the Clark is who I am, and synergize between uh, the Dean Cain show, that is why it kind of became stagnant, and for a while it did stop, and even with them being in each other's books stopped for a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, when they did the whole marriage thing, of course you couldn't have Clark when he's married to Lois, like freshly married, he's dreaming about Diana or having these thoughts about her. But when they were engaged, actually, he did, um, and I think Byrne was the one that wrote it. When Lois called off the engagement, Clark was basically saying that he can't talk to Diana or he can't see her because I think it was embarrassing, and it was the fact that he was having second thoughts. It was kind of like I should have pursued her more with knowing, with all the drama he's having with Lois. And like, well, I mean, is it the character within the story or is it the writer projecting? And then you have that editorial wanted the marriage gone within a year anyway. So
Astounding.
yeah, so it was a lot of complicated elements within this part of trying to make the marriage work. Some writers just completely wanted it to go as fast as it came, and this is part of it, having this cover.
Next cover. All right, this one, first off, I encountered this because I finished reading Our Worlds at War, and it's actually a very good compliment to this cover. All right, so we are going to be discussing this awesome cover, which the reason it's a compliment to is because with this one, you see he's tenderly holding her because, okay, for those of you that don't necessarily know the context behind this cover, so she has just been very grievously wounded by a massive explosion during the war against Imperiex. And Superman ignores everyone else floating in space, ignores Lois, because even in the part 2 story, Lois is calling to him and he goes, "No, I have to make sure Diana's okay." And I'm like, dude.
It's like your wife is calling you and you're trying to rush off to another woman, and even that's acknowledged. It's acknowledged that he I think Maxima says he cares for her. You have Lois even with General Lane.
Mm-hmm.
I believe he died, and she says that um you care to save Diana, before you save my father. So she was mad about that. And then you have, yeah, him rushing off to even with Lois in his ear calling for him, he rushes off to Diana and he says, "No, not Diana." It's like you can take anybody else, but not her.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't do that and ignore your wife practically unless there's something there.
Yeah. And you also have the part even before that is when he goes to Hippolyta and he's like, help her because she's my best friend, and they both are having like this thing of like, but she's my daughter. It's kind of like they're pretty much like battling their titles in Diana's life or
No,
whatever.
I love her more. No, I love her more.
Yeah, that's basically what they were saying. And yeah, that was something that was just um so telling within that story. He even wrapped her in his cape. You
Yeah.
know, is yeah, it's
I love this cover so much. This next one's more hilarious because okay, so what I love about this one, you could take this as I can't believe I can't believe I subjected Wonder Woman to sitting down for an interview with Lois Lane.
yeah, I don't particularly like all the content of some of these. I don't particularly care for, but it's some parts of this that really, again, shows how Diana is more of a better character and a better, female inspiration
Mm-hmm.
than Lois, because with Lois basically following Diana around all day and she see what she does. And what really stood out was when Diana went to the sick children and she sung to them, for them to be comforted for their last breath. And it I think Lois was like, I didn't even think of this. Like I didn't even like have this sort of view of the world. It's like you're a reporter. How do you not have a view of the world as this? And it just really just shows how Lois cares about awards. She doesn't care about actually um helping the world get better, or how some writers want to say she's a truth seeker and all of that. She seeks the truth as in like being nosy or wanting the story, like exposing people, sure, but it's not helping. She just want the award for it.
She wants the accolades, and that's
Yeah.
partly my problem with Lois because the way she's been written is this way. By the way, my issue with this is why does Clark have like a 5 o'clock shadow?
I think it was just color shading. I
It's kind of odd all of a sudden. I mean, it could be because it kind of fades out on his cheek. It just kind of looks odd.
Yeah, I really just think it was the colorist,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just, he kind of like Fred Flintstone a little bit.
A little bit. The next couple of covers are going to be all Britt and I gushing over these covers. You ready? New 52!
Yes.
Good Lord, Jim Lee is a master at this. And by the way, I have this cover. One day, I will get it signed by Jim Lee and Jeff Johns.
That will be amazing.
And if I can get Scott Williams and Alex Sinclair, they will adorn their signature to this cover because oh my gosh, is it awesome!
Yeah, it's so beautiful. The variant cover is, as we are going to talk about it for merchandise, it is used for a I guess it's like needle and or like a dots type puzzle or something, but it's really pretty.
And they have it
And
as a T-shirt. I have seen that.
yeah, they have it as a t-shirt. They've had it as a tote bag. They've had it as cell phone cases and everything. But these images really stood out. Even Hot Topic, actually, when they were doing the whole power couple thing, and especially Valentine's, they had a big poster. I remember going to the mall and the poster was so big, and you just see this bright orange, but you see like two people in
Yeah.
like embraced. You can't help but like stare at it in
And
person.
fun fact, I remember on the DC YouTube channel, it's still up there. You can watch a documentary about Jim Lee. Around the time that this happened, he was talking about like the decision to pair them together. And one of his creative choices he made with this, he said, okay, so if this is something that we haven't seen before, but you know, bear with him. I want to do something new. And so, being they're both superheroes, why don't we just have them floating? And we also have the one of them in space, but I'm going to go through them. So it's like they're in space and they're flying and they're wrapped in the lasso. He's not holding her like he's holding her up. It's like she's flying. She even drapes her thigh on him, and I'm like, yeah, this is sexy as hell. And then we have the same cover, but it's basically like moonlight, which I like the sunset more because it plays off that romantic like context of the sunset more. What do you think?
Um, I like the sunset more because they stand out a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like within the moonlight, they kind of blend in just a little bit.
Yeah, his blue
Um,
suit and all that.
yeah. So it doesn't, I mean, it's still beautiful. I mean, you
It's
can
still good.
still tell,
It's Jim Lee first off, so it's still good.
right? It's just that it doesn't, they don't stand out just as much. But I also want to say that um Clark and Diana have the whole moonlight in the background, flying in the air together, whatever was done. This was done way before um uh the the whole thing with Lois,
Mm-hmm.
what Philip did
Mm-hmm.
for
Oh yeah, the
War.
War World saga before he left. Yeah,
Yeah, it
exactly.
was kind of like so many people like made a big deal out of that, and it's kind of like, okay, Superman and Wonder Woman, or even the Hawks, they have imagery like this. So
Batcat does from Hush.
yeah, the whole Moonlight thing, it's not new, you know.
And by the
So
way, they even did in the animated universe. Look.
yeah, it really doesn't. I don't know why. Well, no, I do know why. They
Mm-hmm.
hype up certain things, and it's kind of like purposely ignore that things came before it, or things that did it better.
Exactly. Now we get to my favorite cover of Superman and Wonder Woman. I just love this one so much because if you notice, and a lot of people have like, I've like taken this image and like adapting it, but I love how the sun forms a halo around her. It's like this is quintessentially Superman and Wonder Woman because it's like this is something they can do that he can't do with Lois. He can't make out in outer space.
Yes, the halo at the back is just so beautiful. This has been actually my screensaver forever. So
Really,
yeah, I haven't changed it at all. Like, yeah, I just love it so much.
it just looks so good.
And then to have the earth like right there, and and the thing is, it's not like, yeah, sure, he's holding her like her cheek or whatever, but they are able to fly together and they're in space. That is something so unique about Clark and Diana, that they can do so much together.
And that's what Jim Lee wanted to do. He wanted to say, okay, so this is Superman and Wonder Woman. The rules of what's physically possible for a human go right out the window with this. So I can do all this really cool stuff. But the other thing I like, the sunlight and like the dawn, it kind of shows it's the dawn of a new era. Oh boy, would that prove kind of
Wow.
correct at first. But the next one I love is because I'm a big Jason Fabok fan. Like, absolutely. And I just love this one because it really shows that and first off, we get the label ultimate power couple. There you go, right there. And then I just love how it's like they're ready to do a battle side by side. And it shows that, like, yes, they have a romantic life, but they can also still have fun on the job.
Exactly. And I think that is what Babak actually said, that when he was creating his cover, he of course went through sketches, and at first it was supposed to be like a flirty one, but then he decided to go with the more um them being more of a team. And it's like, yeah, that is who they are. And yes, the label of ultimate power couple is Superman and Wonder Woman.
There you
Like,
go.
you know, for anyone who wants to take it, you can't,
You can't.
because
That's us.
yeah, they actually have it labeled here.
And it's kind of funny about this cover is that the reason why this works so well too, to that point with Jason Fabok, is that the temptation is there to make this this only like a romantic couple and stuff. But no, it shows that in addition to being a romantic couple, they're also a pretty badass team. Next,
Exactly.
this is one from Throne of Atlantis, and here they are holding hands right there because I believe they had just had their date in the like or in the restaurant before like the wave hit.
Yeah, this cover, not only does it represent Throne of Atlantis, but it also, the way the background is and where they're standing, it really symbolizes kind of like a 9/11 type
Yes,
imagery.
it's kind of like that image that they talked about in the DC documentary with Phil Jimenez, kind of.
Yeah. So this is one that I love because of that, multiple type um imagery that it gives. And just the fact that they're holding hands is just so, like,
Mm-hmm.
symbolic.
There you go. Exactly. Then the next one, yes, I love this one because first off, Aquaman fan, absolutely right there, and yeah, it does have that whole we're in this together like connotation in the body language. Then we have this
Looney
one I was
Tunes.
like, what? But I was like, okay. So how is this? I want you to defend your choice. How is this Super Wonder?
Okay, first, with um Bugs and Lola,
Mm-hmm.
of course, they are a couple. So having Bugs
Okay.
dressed as Superman and Lola dressed as Wonder Woman, it's just, the obvious thing. And they've had them, I think they have Funkos, and a lot of times when they are doing the crossovers or something like that, that is how they dress. And it's something that says a lot about, even outside of DC's whole status quo, is that other elements, it's like so obvious that unconsciously they are paired together, that these other characters are dressing as them. And yeah, it was done on purpose that Lola and Bugs will be Superman and Wonder Woman. And yeah, I just love it. I love the
It's
crossover,
so
and it's
cute.
really fun.
And fun fact, this is actually a parody of Justice League #1 by Jim Lee. So there you
Yeah.
go. I love
So
that
see,
one.
I honestly would love a Looney Tunes type um cartoon movie
And that would be great.
of
Where they're in the DC universe. That would be
and
great.
they're dressed like that. I mean, they already had it with Space Jam 2,
Mm-hmm.
but that wasn't, no, I'm like really the Looney Tunes characters dressed as the Justice League, and basically redoing New 52 Justice League Origins will be so just it's
And
just
I'm sorry,
different.
make it canon to the DC universe. Go all the way.
Yeah,
Next one. I like well, first off, I can definitely see the SuperWonder in this one because he's wrapped in her lasso and they're both like smiling at each other. I love that. They're like in some type of crystalline structure. Oh yeah, because it's JLA. Now I remember this. It's the Brian Hitch JLA run.
yeah. So this I first Hitch can write a very good Superman and Wonder Woman.
Oh yes.
I can honestly, well, no. I am on the fence about how he handled Legacy for Rebirth, but I can understand why because of again the whole status quo thing and having how they did Hunter and everything like that. But he still, it was like he was still trying to connect Clark and Diana together.
Well, and also, I choose to believe that was a editorial mandate, not necessarily his own doing.
Well, yeah, I believe in tweets, he did say that it was heavily, edited,
Yeah,
especially
so at
Hunter's
that point,
origin.
I don't blame Hitch at all for that. So I'm like, yeah, you're good, dude. You're good.
Yeah, so with the whole story though, I love the fact that from the beginning, Clark and Diana are a couple and how they they dealt with what was it Parasite?
It
They
was
dealt with
Parasite, and then Parasite was in the beginning, and then it was straight up Rao, the sun god of Krypton.
and the way that Clark, he was so excited and he like his first thoughts was that he wanted to share this with Diana. He was wondering in where she was. And then when Diana woke up unconscious from where she was, that was her first thing of saying um, Clark. Then we have issue 9 when Diana uses the bolt to
Which,
revive
by
him.
the way, that's getting referenced in my comic. I'm stealing that moment, but yes, go on.
Honestly, they should have adapted this into a movie
This could have been a
because
dope animated movie. You kidding me?
right because I mean to see Diana revive Clark
With a
in
thunderbolt.
that is something like it's kind of like what is DC doing the
But,
thought process. You
but
have
wait,
so
Britt,
many
you forgot a very important line. So he wakes up and she goes, I thought I lost you. And he goes, I heard you.
yeah, that whole
I'm
scene
like,
just
oh. And I love where the Justice League is like, yeah, Superman's alive. And Batman's like, great.
yeah, he's
I'm like,
like,
thanks,
okay, now we can
Bruce.
go. And then the fact that Diana was trying to revive him for like 15 minutes and she never gave up. It's like 15 minutes, he's gone.
He's
But
gone. But she's like, nope, I'm not giving up.
yeah, so with this cover though, it's I like the art style because it's very unique and it
Yeah.
reminds me of an anime
Yeah,
that I
it's very
watched.
anime-y. So yeah,
Um,
100%. It's cool. I like when a lot of artists are allowed to like go crazy on covers.
yeah, the body style, it just looks sort of like it was inspired by that.
Hmm.
And with, it kind of looked like they are trying to be at the fortress,
A
but
little bit, yeah, but because I was trying to think, 'cause this is JLA. When did they go to like the Fortress of Solitude or some crystalline structure? I don't think they did.
and then you have Bruce like in the back turned
Being alone, not having fun. I'm just like, yeah, that's Batman for you. The only thing that like screams JLA to me is the red sky.
the uh-oh.
Because
Yeah.
remember when Rao came in, he turned the sun red. And by the way, I love here's the
Oh,
attention to
yeah.
detail. Here's the attention to detail the colorist did. The ground that would be exposed to the sun is also
Is
reddish.
red.
Wow.
I did not pick up on that. That is pretty
Attention
good.
to detail. I just love this. Next, we're getting to one of the best covers. And actually, when we started this, I forgot to change the cover around, but okay. And we talked about a little bit about it in the first, like, a couple of minutes of the episode. This kick-ass Tony Daniel cover that was a wraparound cover of issue 1 of Superman Wonder Woman, which is the series that DC didn't know was going to be as big as it was.
Yeah. I think that the thing is, they believe that it was just like how they did in Post Crisis, Action Comics 600 type thing. But with going all the way of not only a first date, but a second, to even their first conflict was contrived within Trinity War, and then they have a joint book. And not only that, but at the time, Tony Daniel was already a superstar artist, but Charles Soule, I think he was kind of still like a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
So to have this team come in and basically like have a book that is highly reviewed, that broke the expectations of orders, selling over 100K, even surprising Tony, obviously. It's kind of like, yeah, this and with the fact that Soul understood the characters and made them work. He understood their relationship as outsiders. Given that he was or still is an immigration lawyer. That's the thing, is that
I didn't know that. That explains how he gets the whole outsider perspective.
yeah, you need to have someone that understands that. And when you understand that, you can write Clark and Diana easily. So many writers want to turn Clark and Diana into characters that they know in their heads, and it's to make it easier for them to write. But you're not doing justice to the characters. Soul actually understood the characters to write them as they should. Diana, she's very she loves her culture. She's very outspoken. She, let it be known that man's world, she loves it, but at the same time she questions it.
Mm-hmm. She
And
does, yeah.
she wants to challenge it. And especially the issues that she has that is problematic. Clark, he is very much grounded within man's world because he was raised, but at the same time, he can change with the help of Diana to understand that with him being Kryptonian, with you being an outsider, there's nothing to be ashamed of. That, you don't have to hide. You can be who you are without even choosing a side.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I like about the book is, to your point, yeah, they did the whole Clark. No matter what, when Bruce said, and he gives me the best evidence about why Superman doesn't need Lois to maintain his humanity, and it doesn't have to be recharged, because that's an argument. But he said, you may have these powers, but you were raised here. You still see yourself as a human that technically has these powers. You obviously embrace your Kryptonian culture and all that stuff, but you still see yourself as human. And yeah, that was when I was like, oh my gosh, he gets it. I also like how he makes Clark a badass, because again, so Superman has this justifiably or unjustifiably Boy Scout like demeanor, or like it's not really demeanor, it's perception. And you get the scene with Apollo where he like goes, you don't know that much about me, do you? And punches a god through a mountain. I'm like, yeah, this is the book that made me love New 52 Superman. And then he still had those moments where he was like the the tender person that Superman is, because Superman's not all like punchy. He has all those moments of the heart, and Sewell had the perfect balance behind action, romance, and just general these characters acting like themselves.
Exactly.
It just astounds me.
Yeah, he found the balance. And that's the thing. New 52 was all about going back to the actual roots, the actual back to basics
Mhm.
of Superman being golden age, his personality, his even his powers from the beginning.
Yeah.
He was very much rooted in golden age. And then with Diana, she, like I said, she was very much into her culture, challenging man's world. Yes, she was a little feisty in the warrior type thing,
Even
but
Zod said so. He goes, "Where's your woman, the feisty one?"
and it's like, yeah, she looks young. She's 23, 22, 23. How else do you think a 23-year-old would act?
When you have superpowers as well. Let's not forget about this. She's a 23-year-old superpowers. The other thing that this series did so well, and honestly, it's a tough thing to do, where he managed to have Diana be Superman's girlfriend, and this was more like the new 52, but specifically this book, and have her not be overshadowed by Superman, because that's the danger of putting two characters together, because it's like, will one be overshadowed by the other? If anything, they both got equal attention. I mean, it's called Superman and Wonder Woman, but I'm talking about throughout the entire New 52. And the reason why I think this cover perfectly personifies that is that if you notice, both of their books are perfectly represented here, because you have Bizarro, you have I believe that's Cat Grant, you have Lex,
Yeah,
Hell
Cat.
L, or whoever this is, Darkseid. And over here you have all the gods and blonde Hippolyta, which I like her as a blonde. I think I like her as a blonde. And then there's like it shows their worlds melding so well together.
Yeah, honestly, I like Hippolyta as a blonde too, because it really shows that Diana, they are, if you go with the Amazon's reincarnation, it's supposed to be a mother and child soul that Hippolyta and Diana has. That's why they are so connected. Um I I just think that when Diana is molded of clay, um she should have a different hair color than Hippolyta. She doesn't
But remember, in
ha-
this, she wasn't this is not the clay origin.
right. I'm just saying that
Mm-hmm.
it makes more sense with the clay origin, because she's molded, so it's kind of like, yeah, she would have a different hair color,
Mm-hmm.
and just she would look like Hippolyta, but not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like when with Tom King with the flash forward or whatever from Wonder Woman 800, when he was introducing Trinity, um, the Trinity name, all you can think
Mm-hmm.
about is the Trinity, not her character. Lizzie. Diana, that was Diana, but she looks like Hippolyta with the black hair. And it's like you can't really tell the
She kind of.
difference.
It depends on how it's lit, because oftentimes it looks like she has brown hair.
Diana, sometimes it looks like she has brown hair.
And I'm talking
Even
about
even
Trinity, by the way.
oh, Trinity. Oh, she has brown hair. The artist actually says she does have brown hair and brown eyes. I mean, she's not Diana's daughter. She's adopted or something.
That makes
So,
sense, but it's like
yeah.
even Emily is like a blonde, so it still is like, okay, I can kind of see where they're going for. But my point is, yeah, there are some times where the scene is lit and Trinity's hair does look black, but yeah, it's brown.
Yeah. So with Diana and Hippolyta, even with the JSA when Hippolyta was when she was Wonder Woman, it still made it seem like that was Diana. So you want to have a distinctive look. Um, I just don't think that Diana and Hippolyta should just look exactly alike. Um, so yeah, I like the blonde hair. It's just different.
But wait, can I say one thing? Speaking of Trinity, the thing about it is that people are acting like is the first time Wonder Woman's ever had a kid, and I'm like, Hunter Prince would like to have a word with you.
The thing is with Hunter is that he was editorial mandated. His origin was a suicide and assault, or assault and suicide.
But he's still her son. And by the way, I would have liked, because it's annoying when like Wonder Woman has to have a daughter, and I'm like, why can't you have a son?
Yeah, the whole thing about Diana would abandon her son because the
That
Amazons
too.
wouldn't accept
That
him.
is complete and utter BS, because
Yeah,
it says a lot when Frank Miller does this better than you guys do.
yeah, Diana would never do that to her kid. Like, no. That just
If
they
anything, in Dark Knight 3, she protects the kid from the Amazons because she doesn't trust them.
yeah, exactly. The I mean, to say that Diana it's a double standard or whatever. Some of the fans, they say things that make the character seem so off and so unlikable, but they try to make a point with it. And so it's kind of like, but then on one end, they want Diana to um be like this motherly character. So it's like you can't say that she's a motherly character, but yet she doesn't accept her own son. That's just weird.
But my point earlier was, okay, so why does it have to be in the new Trinity boy, boy, girl? Why can't it be boy, boy, boy? I mean, why does Wonder Woman have to have a daughter?
Well, the thing is, um, Tom, uh, the first idea of this story was actually from, I think his name is Mitch, the
Yeah.
artist.
Mm-hmm.
It was first for Mr. Miracle's son, Jack,
Mm-hmm.
that that baby that he introduced,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
Tom King introduced,
Yeah,
and
that
the Super
they were
Sons
gonna
babysit him.
babysit. Yeah, but I'm like, I get that, but I'm just like, I'm just against the whole Wonder Woman has to have a daughter because she's a girl, and I'm
Well,
like,
it is surface level that, but it's also because Tom King has a daughter, and like
ah.
basically it's the same dynamic. Is basically John and Damien are his two sons, and Lizzie represents the youngest, which is the daughter.
And I just hate that when he's writing Leslie as a kid, that Leslie has the mouth of a sailor apparently, but that's a discussion for another stream. But next cover, let's talk about something fun. The romance novel cover.
Yeah,
Jeez.
so we have this, and the thing is, again, with the whole um how DC wanted to have the romance, I think the Harley Quinn
Mm-hmm.
uh romance thing, and it's like, okay, been there, done that, you know. And the thing is with this cover, it was controversy, of course. Why? Well, first, want to make it seem like Diana is uncovered because she has the cape. So she's, sexualized, whatever, like
But
that.
you can see
But
her
it's like,
armor right there.
right, but it's like Clark is in the background shirtless.
Yeah,
It's like,
I sense a double standard.
right. And then it was like the part of her leg was probably miscolored, but it made a big deal out of it. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It was just controversy over her leg being like smaller than her thigh. And you know, it's just really petty when going through these covers. When I was looking through these covers, and I was thinking back on when I first saw them or when they were first revealed, and the reactions to them. It's kind of like you can pretty much sense the jealousy
Yeah,
of
because they're
how,
like, we can't have, particularly Clois fans, we can't get this.
yeah, it was basically like Clark, and again, this is
But wait,
always admitted.
here's the thing. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
Oh no, you're okay.
that whole thing about the objectification of Wonder Woman, didn't Jim Lee draw Lois Lane ensconced in Clark's cape and was very obviously naked in Superman for Tomorrow?
Yeah, but that's acceptable. But she also looks like Diana. Like she's
Yeah,
drawn.
I love how, like, when people want to do fan art of that being Diana, they just draw the bracelets. That's it.
Yeah, is she's very much drawn like in Amazon like Diana, and I wouldn't be surprised that Jim Lee pretty much pictured Diana. Like,
Well,
because why would she
yeah.
have a Grecian look? She has a white Grecian dress. Like that's, yeah,
Exactly. That's why I think that Jim Lee secretly wants Superman to be with Wonder Woman. It's just for some reason he thinks he has to do the Clois thing.
he doesn't have to. He's the president of
But he
DC.
thinks he has to because DC still thinks that that's what the majority of the fan base wants.
Less than 5% of Twitter is not the whole DC fan
I know,
base.
but DC doesn't know that. That's my point there.
Yeah,
Which is stupid because if he actually paid attention, let me put it this way: if he paid attention to what sold last, it would show get rid of Lois.
yeah, exactly.
But anyway, I just love this cover. I can imagine the dialogue in this. It's like Diana's holding onto his cape. He goes, "Hey Diana, can you give me back that cape?" He's like, "Oh, I wasn't aware you could feel cold."
And she's kind of like, no, you're good. You can, stay shirtless. I can admire you.
Yeah, and she's like, "It's my cape now."
Yeah,
I love
just like
that.
how she claimed him when she was talking to Zod in
He is mine. Yeah, this
yeah,
cape is mine. She says in Kryptonian as well. He's like, "Oh no."
yeah.
So speaking of Superman, Wonder Woman, that thing, I love this cover because I like it. So first off, the secret is out, and this is when the relationship was like exposed through the internet by we would later find out as Hesha. But I just love how like the glass is shattered and all this. It looks like the little glass ceiling is like completely shattered. The secret's out and all that.
And also just without the frame,
Mm-hmm.
the image itself of the storm um with the sword and the lasso, that is another
It's another
um
cover. Yeah, exactly.
it it is so like it stands out.
Dynamic. It's so dynamic.
Yeah.
It's sexy as hell. That's the thing when you get into these Superman and Wonder Woman covers, they're all extremely sexy.
Yes. And always with the best art. Like
I
it's
know it's like Jim Lee, Jason Fabok. The best writers are like, best artists are like, no, we'll do this.
because artistically you can do so much with Superman and Wonder Woman. You can different poses, different dynamics. That's the
You can
thing.
have
You
them in
can
space. Like, here's the thing: to quote the Close People's jealousy, you can't have Lois like this in space.
right, you can't. And it also is so effortless.
Mm-hmm.
That when, like we said, when artists draw them and they supposed to be just friends, but unconsciously the artist draw, maybe a handhold or a certain expression, like in Tom King's second issue of his Wonder Woman run, it was supposed to be like with speed. It
Hmm.
was supposed to convey like romantic drama or like uh, I guess something, but they
Nothing in that issue. If anything, that interaction kind of showed contempt.
Yeah, it really showed that even with them, it was like they had blank faces,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't show any expression of like sorrow or like a longing type, close up or anything. It just showed basically, if you take the dialogue off, you really just see Diana standing there with a soldier.
Yeah.
And like,
Plus, here's
yeah,
the thing. If you know your history of Steve Trevor at this point, he's a Navy SEAL. He's not in the U.S. Marines. So I'm like, wait a second here. That's the funny part about Steve Trevor, though, by the way. They keep changing his military branch. And I'm
for
like,
for the part of the story, it's like
yeah, I'm
they
like,
haven't.
what? In multiple, it's not like, okay, the reboot happened and now he's a SEAL. That happened, but actually, no, because then it's because I believe in New 52 he was a fighter pilot again, right?
Yeah, he was.
And then in Rebirth, it's like he's a SEAL, which I'm like, okay. Then now he's a Marine, and I'm like, as soon as I saw him with the U.S. Marines name tape, I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it's just for the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have no idea what to do with him. And like I said, if you take off the dialogue, it doesn't convey any type of romance or whatever. And just like comparing it with Superman and Wonder Woman, from 800, you can take off the dialogue, and that conveys more than friends.
Yeah, this has no dialogue. Still good, or like with that one. Yeah, what I would have done if I were Tom King. Here's how I could have made the story more compelling involving Steve Trevor. So remember, Steve Trevor has that special ops team from Rebirth that was basically the characters from the Wonder Woman
The
movie,
Wonder
but they
Woman movie,
wanted,
yeah,
yeah. I would have had. So they instruct Steve Trevor, have him be a SEAL. They instruct Steve Trevor, you're gonna hunt down Wonder Woman. So during that story, you could have him showing like that romantic contempt, like thanking like I couldn't make this work, or like he's trying to help her, but first he has to find her, and he's doing it under the auspices of he's supposed to hunt her down, instead of like him just standing there talking and going, oh, okay, I'm gonna go away now.
yeah. But
Steve Trevor,
not
he is in himself a forced character, but there you go.
right, not in depth in relationship is just not what these writers can really convey.
Nope.
They It's very much surface level, or even if it is like Tom King, the way romance is really some type of like twisted, dysfunctional, toxic kind of romance.
Well, that's the way he always writes books. It's like everyone is either psychologically unhinged or like depressed as hell.
Yeah, exactly. And
That's just his.
and
But
or
go ahead.
stoic
Or
or
stoic,
stoic.
but it's stoic to the point where they have distinct. That's psychological. Well, here's the thing: his stoic stuff works for Batman. That's why I'm a little more forgiving of his Batman run, because a lot of the stuff he has Batman do, I don't say
It
all of
sort of
it.
makes sense.
I don't say all of it. Yeah, it sort of makes sense for Batman. That's why I'm a little more forgiving of his Batman run. But when he does that to other characters who are not, it seems like he just wants to write Batman and he's trying to turn other characters into Batman, which
Right.
is sad because Britt, I read his Superman Up in the Sky book. He can write a pretty good Superman story.
Besides the 1,000 ways Lois would die,
Yeah,
but
but
yeah,
besides that, it was still good. So I know he's capable of writing these hopeful characters. That's the astounding part.
I just think that he can write one shots or limited series,
Yeah.
but an ongoing, he that's like his weakness. He can't, you know. And then, like you said, certain characters he should definitely stay away from if he wants to inject the whole PTSD, depression thing, because it's not the way he's writing Diana, he's not writing her with her own inner thoughts. He's writing her in a sense of just someone telling a story with their own thoughts of her, and
It's
she's like a moving,
it's the sovereign narrating.
yeah, and she's just like a moving piece to their story. It's
Which
not
is
her
dumb.
story.
And let me ask you this real quick before we move on to the next cover. If you could pick the next Wonder Woman writer, and it can't be like Clunrat or anything like that, who would you pick?
Oh, honestly, like, so I can't pick anyone that was previously writing her because
You can, because I only said no Clunrat because I think that's what you would go with, but
oh no, I would say DC needs to start begging Charles Soule to come back
yes,
because he
please,
needs
please, please come back
he needs
on
a
their
chance.
hands and knees if they have to. We'll even give you back Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that number one for sure. Other than that, I have no idea because so many other writers now,
Are so bad.
yeah, and it would have to be someone up and coming, I guess, or I don't know. It's just so like,
There's
yeah,
not
it's
a lot
very
of really good
mediocre.
writers that I would trust with these characters.
And the thing is, DC is going cheap. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're not hiring people to be like all stars. It's kind of like they're going for cheap, but calling them all stars. So yeah, yeah, no.
Astounding. Next up, Steampunk Super Wonder. I
Okay,
love
so
this one so much.
this cover is kind of like, well, Diana, she's like, she knows that she can probably carry all her luggage, but she's having Clark carry it. He seems very annoyed,
Yeah, he does. He's like, you're not even gonna help me.
and it's like she has all these, like, what is in the luggage? And it has to be like armor and weapons or something like that, because I would not take Diana to be one with, a lot of uh
Mhm.
suitcases. I really wouldn't. So it has to be something like that.
And how much you want to bet? I also love her attire because it's basically her telling Clark, "Be good, and this will all be yours."
Exactly. The kind of roulette type,
Mm-hmm.
um, a little Moulin Rouge type, you know,
Mm-hmm.
feel that is not objectifying her at all. Is basically her, being comfortable with her innocent seduction or something like that. And yeah, I really do like this cover because it's and the way it's colored is giving so much of like an old school type feel too.
Yeah. Next cover. This next one I freaking adore. It's the Super Wonder versus Evil Super Wonder cover, as I call it, because that's what Soul was going for, I think, when he brought in Zod and Feor. It's basically the evil foil to the power couple, and it just worked so well.
Exactly. Yes, he said that. He said that it was the good power couple versus the evil power couple. And this whole fight, this volume, I'm gonna keep saying it, it should have been adapted.
Oh, at least as an animated movie, they could have easily destroyed with this. Like, oh, and maybe they will because they're doing a lot of Elseworlds. Can you imagine if we got an animated movie? Probably won't because DC and they're vindictive. But in the multiverse, imagine an Earth where we get this as an animated movie.
Yes, I would love to go travel to that earth, but that I mean, and this could be the cover art. This could be the
Yeah,
cover.
just this there. You don't even have to just recreate this, or to promote the comics, just use legit this cover.
Yeah, it and the thing is, this story is so unique, and they of all the couples that DC has, they don't have anything like what Superman and Wonder Woman has brought or could bring. They like what you said previously about um feeling that Diana will be overshadowed.
Yeah.
It's 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 not like Batgirl and Nightwing. Like it's a Nightwing book, but notice that Barbara is now just like his girlfriend, and kind of like her role is kind of reduced. I know that she's Oracle and sometimes Batgirl, but it seemed like she's a secondary character now to not only the Bat family, but to Nightwing. And that's her only role.
Yeah, but
Then,
in this, ignoring Superman and Wonder Woman as a series, even in Superman and Wonder Woman series, whenever they showed up in each other's books, you never got the feeling that one was overshadowing another. It's just, oh, here's her boyfriend, or here's his girlfriend coming in.
exactly. And even with or another couple is Green Arrow and Black Canary.
There you
Black
go.
Black Canary was very much an independent character. She was even like more popular at the time than Green Arrow. But when they put them together, she became his supporting character. In Rebirth, she was just the girlfriend. And how it's Green Arrow's story. She, regardless of his like thinking post crisis, he was a cheater, and just the dysfunction they had. But she basically her it seemed like her only um way of being a character is with being connected with Green Arrow. Even being in a Justice League, she can't be by herself. She was with the Birds of Prey, but even within the Birds of Prey, the newer series, Green Arrow was featured. It's like, yeah, she's lost her independence. But with Wonder Woman, that's never gonna happen with Superman and Wonder Woman because their relationship is founded on equality. If you even try to put Diana in the background, it's not gonna work.
No, because
Even
she's Wonder Woman. You can't do that.
even who shall not be named even admitted that. He said it was difficult to balance them because Diana demanded the spotlight. It was like, well, duh,
She's Wonder
So
Woman, dude.
yeah,
He's treating that like that's a new revelation, and I'm like, no.
right. So yeah, with this cover, this could be adapted into an animated movie. Just use this cover, and it will sell. Like this is the thing, DC had like a gold mine right in their hands, and they blew it because of nostalgia, because of the less than 5%. And what has that gotten you now?
Mm-hmm. Nothing. So next cover, I love this one, the Super Doomed cover. And this whole story, I think, is great because, and I said this on Taladia's channel because he and I were covering all the good parts of the series. And one of the things I said was, here was the good thing, and here's one of the best things about the new 52. It took storylines that had already been told and told them in new ways, because this was obviously them telling the death of Superman, but doing it in a way that it's original. And it's like you're telling it with the whole dynamic of Wonder Woman being Superman's girlfriend and having to possibly kill him to protect people. And this is basically to that point. The whole book actually covers that theme of it's the world first, because she's about to kill him because he's about to endanger people.
Yep. And that's something that them being self-sacrificing, of them, you know, making the tough decisions. And when people say that there's no stakes in with Superman and Wonder Woman being together, yes, there are stakes, and it's much higher than what you even think. Because it is that they put the world before their relationship, and if it feels like they're not doing their job, it feels like they can't be together. And
Diana said so. And by the way, Rob from Comics Explained, I love you, brother, but yes, I am. Britt and I are going to push back on that, saying that there are no stakes. There are stakes.
yes, the stakes of being with Lois or Steve, just because they die or whatever, it's one person. You know, yeah, you love them, but so many people have lost their spouses or, loved ones, and they move forward. Clark and Diana, for their humanity, for their sanity to be linked to just two people, um, you know, respectively, is very uninspiring. Is very like you're throwing them under the bus. They
Yeah.
are supposed to, yeah. So
It's like the stakes are their happiness versus the world, because that's really what it is. Or like can they be together and still do what they do? And by the way, another thing I love about this cover, and this is really on the Super Doom design, and this is another thing I love about the new 52 costume being like Kryptonian nanotech battle armor. If you notice, the spikes are not coming through, so the armor is like forming around the spikes. I mean,
yeah,
it does kind of
that's
break
really
a little
good.
bit, but I just love that's one of the things I love about that suit, because hey, they could, if this were classic suits, the spikes would have gone right through the fabric, and hey, that could also look cool. But it's just something about those spikes being covered up that makes them look even more terrifying.
Yeah, and I love the Beauty and the Beast type. Like
Yes.
that, and the fact that Diana is protecting him. Like it's kind of like saying, regardless of anything, she's going to protect him. So yeah, that conveys so much, and that's what I'm saying. That with one image with Superman and Wonder Woman, you can tell so many stories. How they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. That's definitely what this is.
Because hey, the way I would interpret this is, hey, she's protecting him, and he's struggling to get control back, because if you notice, he's not like charging or anything like that. He's like bending over. I interpret that as in pain, saying, "Come on, get it together, Clark." And Diana's like, "No, until he has control, I will be your sentinel." To quote he who must not be named.
Exactly.
It's just it is a 100% that you make an excellent point, Britt. That yeah, with this image, no dialogue. This could just be a panel, and you don't need dialogue for that. It's incredible, and again, just a testament to Tony Daniel as a freaking artist. I mean, here's a Daniel piece. The dude could draw a freaking comic.
Yes.
So we got okay. Actually, no, we have this one. This one's hilarious because I love where Bruce is. Bruce. Lots of Freudian slip where Clark is like, or like she's cozying up to him, and Clark is like,
Well, yeah, her like, and then she has the lasso. So again, it's kind of like giving. Obviously, Diana's head is very much in the gutter or something like that.
yeah, yeah. It's particularly holding the lasso, and he's like, I can pick up on what you want there.
Yeah, it was actually a meme created, and it was like the dialogue for this cover it wasn't official. It would be hilarious if it was official, but it was like Clark was saying, Diana, what are you thinking? And then her dialogue is something about, do you want to go make babies or super babies or something like that.
That's great.
And it's
That's
like,
awesome. I love that. Yeah, this
yeah,
speaking
so
of images, well, you could tell so many different stories.
Yes, I mean from her chest, like it's really pushed up, from just the the expressions.
Plus, her other hand is out of view as well.
Yeah, so it's given a lot without saying anything, and it's just a really good cover.
It is.
Honestly, the way Clark's like expression is definitely like her other hand is somewhere. It
Yeah.
probably.
Next cover. This one, speaking of covers of stuff that you can't do with Lois, and this is my phone case, by the way. The selfie cover of them floating in the air, and I love all the lipstick on his face. That's just so good, and that will soon be my Xbox skin.
Yeah, so with this one, when it first came out, of course, um the jealousy just spewed. Um
I'm sorry if your ship doesn't allow you to do images like this.
from the lipstick to the I mean, even with trying to recreate a selfie, it was like, no, it's not gonna get any better than this because they are literally flying in the sky and together, and it looks like either way you flip it, that they're both taking the selfie,
Mm-hmm.
like
A
you
little
know,
bit, yeah. I like how they're inverted of each other.
yeah, you just like Clark. It looked like he's upside down at some point, and then look like Diana's upside down. Yeah, it's just a total. Again, Tony Daniel just did an amazing job with this.
Slays. He slays with this cover. And then again, the new dawn in the background. I'm gonna keep bringing up that theme right there. But yeah, this is the book that made me love Tony Daniel's art. Is this because he killed it with it? He showed up and he understood the work assignment right there.
Exactly, and the thing is, with his cover with cover 4 and this cover, we'll get to this next week on for merchandise, but these images are used for t-shirts and skins and stuff like that. And even with this cover, it's actually a brand called Lovebirds. Like
Ha!
it's a total
Official
brand.
brand of DC.
Yes. And to see that this selfie cover, actually I saw a hoodie that is
God
getting
damn it! I need
maritime.
that hoodie.
Yeah, I have to make sure that it is the official hoodie, but it's becoming winter, so I'll definitely probably be
Man,
ordering
Britt,
that hoodie.
you and Snyder Queen. So Snyder Queen is another Comics League host, but she keeps sending me Rebel Moon merch. You keep telling me about this. My credit card is gonna be bleeding.
I'm sorry.
You
I
guys
mean, we
suck.
and the fact that we're giving
More
DCWB
money. I'm
money
like,
is
I
just
want this. Something they really need right about now, by the way.
yes,
But
true, true.
it's like I want this so much. But
Yes,
it just looks so, and again, you can't do this with Lois because she can't fly.
exactly. And I mean, just having a selfie like this is so much fun. They that's what they look like, and for them to call them lovebirds, it just it's just so it's giving them that freedom that they are birds, that they can fly in and enjoy, you know,
They're
the
free.
sky. Yeah. And that's why I pretty much love this cover because it just looks so happy. It just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling.
It does. Speaking of speaking not necessarily speaking of warm and fuzzy, but the
Oh, this is
zombie
definitely not warm and
variant,
fuzzy.
which this one looks so cool. They make even zombies romantic.
Exactly. I mean, how can you make zombies like creepy yet have like this weird twisted like trying to convey a sexiness. This is what this cover is giving.
I'd imagine if I were writing this story, I would make it where everyone in DC becomes a zombie, but the zombies of Superman and Wonder Woman are together because their love somehow transcends being zombies.
Yes, this is like, honestly, I'm just now noticing that I think zombie Diana's leg is like on
Yeah, it's
up
wrapped
against,
around him right there.
and so it is, yeah, they, regardless of being zombies, they're still going to be very intimate, this looks like.
They're
And
gonna make
it's just,
zombie super babies.
that is weird, but it's so funny, and that is very much that's given a cult classic horror film.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's what they were going for, and they nailed it. Next cover, I just love this Darwin Cook cover. Oh my gosh, it elicits a lot of the New Frontier comic, not the movie, because the movie changed this portion of the comic, but
Of
it
course it
just
did.
looks so innocent. Speaking of stuff they can't do, they're on an alien world and they're just hanging out having a picnic.
And also, what I love about this is that the leaves are hearts,
Ah, there you go. I see that. I just
but
noticed that, as a matter of fact.
also, and the cape is the blanket.
hmm
But also, I think with the apple and being under the tree, this is like an Adam and Eve type representation too.
Yes, that is very interesting. And if you notice, also the environment is pink, and pink as in Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so this again, the Superman and Wonder Woman covers, just
So
their
deep.
images, they have so much um, representation in them, so many different stories, or being told. You can really dissect this and it's so much going on, but it's so simple.
And then next up, this one's one of my favorites. So we took the Justice League number 12 cover, and Barry screwed it up, but in a good way. I just love this. And you could tell Clark and Diana are like, Barry. And he's like, see ya.
But at the same time, Barry is a Superman and Wonder Woman supporter.
So he tied them closer together.
So
I
he,
just love
yes,
that.
because in one issue of I think the 70s JLA, he said that he believed that Clark and Diana would get married. And yeah, this is within the mod era, I believe.
hmm
And yeah, so Barry said that he thought that they would get married, but it seemed like Clark lost Diana, and it was, sad. But yeah, he has made New 52 with the whole Flashpoint, and this cover also telling them to get closer.
And you notice her leg again. Her leg is wrapped around him.
Yeah, she like leg wrapping, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing I noticed with a lot of Diana media. She does a lot with her legs. Astounding, which I'm not complaining. But next one, first off, Francis Manipold's art. Whenever I look at it, it looks like a painting that I could hang on in a museum. It just looks that good. I love the Harley Quinn being Cupid, and I love how like I get the feeling that Manipul is making a reference to like New Frontier, that one image of Superman pointing into the sunlight, and it just looks it it's romantic as well because you have like the sun like rising up, and then kind of, if you notice, a lot of this kind of looks like Olympus.
Yeah, it's it really it does look like a painting. I mean, and then the way that Clark and Diana is basically minding their own business, looking at the sun rising or whatever type, and then you have Harley being uh the Cupid or whatever. Also, Diana, her her I guess this is the controversy or whatever of her bodysuit, because it looked like she has
Oh,
on like,
it looks like
yeah,
she doesn't have anything on in terms of below.
yeah, that's the only thing that's kind of like kind of giving.
But you're doing her from the side, though, and this isn't like the movie Wonder Woman where she had armor there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the way that like in the Flash movie when it was like two different skirts, it looked like one was long and then the other one was like extra short
A
and
lot
just
that's wrong with that Flash movie, so
yeah, it was awkward. But
like the
there's
Wonder
also
Bat thing where Batman goes, "Hey," just like no,
that
no.
whole scene was awkward, really, you know,
And we could have had Superman. It's like
at the
no.
end. Yeah. Yeah, that.
We could have had Superman and Wonder Woman at the end for ignoring just Superman. But beyond that, but
Yeah.
yeah, it just looks so good. It's the thing about Man of Pole is that I love his colors, the way he colors everything. That's what really makes it look like a painting, and because he really makes all the colors pop.
Yeah. And also there was which you'll show at the end, a sketch of what could have been from this cover, which I don't know, I would be interested if he were to have finished that sketch,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it was so, of course Harley would still be in it because it was for the for Harley's month, but the way that it seemed like that would have been, I may have preferred that more because it seemed a little bit more fun. Like I love this one because they're all on the mountain and it looks like Olympus. But that one seemed like it would have been more a little bit more intimate. But I like this one. Or I would have wanted both.
True. Next one. I love this one. It's obviously a reference to like some type of like romance movie. You have the Greek myth like idea here. You have the obvious romance, and actually, you know what's kind of funny? It merges their worlds again because you have Krypton and then Themyscira. It's just it looks like a mix of like an old romance slash
It is.
yeah, it's essentially that, or like a Western movie kind of.
It is actually the old classic movies
Mm-hmm.
variant of Gone with the Wind. Gone
Okay.
with the Yes, it is that classic novel movie. And yeah, I love this um cover because yeah, it's blending in their worlds yet again. And it's blended in so seamlessly too. And also I love the New 52 Laura and Jarrell costumes,
Yeah.
attire. I just love that um it's really showing the advanced science um element of Krypton.
Yeah, it's the sci-fi roots, and I love the Amazons like look here.
Yeah. So with this cover and even this would have been a good, like if you're going to recreate something, this is how you recreate it. The New 52 with the variant months, the different themes, they
That's how you
really
do variant covers.
exactly, they really went all out with the different themes and made them unique. The variant covers that DC is doing now, they're very
Bland.
repetitive, bland, repetitive, and even try hard. Like the sweater weather ones that
That
they,
looks clearly AI generated. The point where even people in the comments are like, "Is this AI generated?"
yeah, it doesn't really convey that. Even the Superman and Wonder Woman AIs I've seen, or you know, they look far more intimate and natural than
It's like you plug
whatever.
in. It's like you plug in. Get me an intimate picture of Lois and Clark. Cannot compute. Cannot compute.
Exactly, and you just have something random. That's
Yeah.
exactly what that looks like. And it's not really conveying anything. It looks like one of those Fabio, well, trashy type novels that you get, but
Except
worse.
somehow it looks less taste. Except somehow, actually, this one looks more tasteful.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah, and even with them not looking at each other or anything, you can still feel the intimacy. With that, they are supposed to be looking at each other. They're supposed to be, in love, whatever. But it doesn't. It looks so bland and just. It doesn't. You really don't feel anything with that cover.
Exactly. Next cover. I love this one because it's like they're both equally as strong, and Clark, again, it's on the theme of we're working together. But I also love how like Clark has his heat vision out, his eyes are going red. He's like, "Don't you dare shoot!" Because everyone's targeting Diana, so he's like, "Oh, don't you dare!"
Yeah, and this is a cover that really could have been, honestly, if you're going to do in a like immigrant type, um the US Army or government against Wonder Woman, it should have been a story about the US government and army against Superman and Wonder Woman, or Wonder Woman featuring Superman or something like that. That story, especially because Clark and Diana are an immigrant and a refugee with different perspective of that it could have been a compelling story, but I don't trust much that Tom King can execute it right. But
True.
with this cover, the story is right there.
It's again speaking of images that you don't have to like have dialogue, and it's again. I do agree with you. I would read the hell out of that story because I think it would make a little more sense than what we have now. But speaking of Tom King, Heroes in Crisis, and I know the moment you're going to reference, and I need to say, as much as a lot of people don't like Heroes in Crisis, there are some parts of it I enjoy. The one moment where he's given the speech, she puts his hand on his shoulder, and he puts his hand on top of her hand. That was a nice moment.
That was the only nice moment.
Thank you.
Honestly. The one thing I want to say about the previous cover is that Diana holding up the truck is like you would expect Clark to hold up the truck, but she is, so that
She's
really,
strong
again,
just like me.
yeah, she's strong just like him, and is given the balance of how he isn't just a strong man or whatever, that she can lift up things, that he can have a balance, and that's what their relationship, is about. So yeah, going with Heroes in Crisis, that moment was pretty much the only good moment for me. Well, I take that back, because a lot of Diana's the moments leading up to the speech was Diana with her hand on his shoulder. And what I love about this cover is that when this cover came out, a lot of Clois fans were raging. And one even admitted saying that it looks like Diana is like his wife comforting him. Like
It's almost
she
like you're
would,
telling us something. By the way, this story did Lois no favors where she publishes personal information about superheroes because it's a story.
yeah. And the fact that Clark says, well, I put my marriage before it, the total opposite of Clark and Diana. They would rather sacrifice their relationship than
Then be happy, in
the
other words.
safety of yeah, the safety of the world. But with Lois and Clark, they would rather, screw everybody else. We're gonna get this story out, and it doesn't matter who gets hurt. And that's basically what Clark said when he said that Lois was doing the story, was putting the story out, was like he values his marriage more. And it's like, no, that's not what you're supposed to do.
No, no.
So
That's
yeah,
not, but I can definitely see, by the way, where they get the wipe, because not only does she have her hand on his shoulder, she also has the other arm on his bicep.
Yeah, that is what really was the kicker. And then even with the speech part of how Diana was standing there, a lot of the reviews said it that like that was the most like telling moment of her silent support, of her support. It like it really conveyed so much just right there. Like, yeah, it's so easy for Clark and Diana's moments to be just like that. But on the opposite end, you have like these tryhards of trying to make Steve and Lois relevant or give them moments like that, and it just doesn't convey the same emotions.
Or it comes off as forced, because it
Right.
is. But the next one is Superman Lost. And yeah, this is the cover that I keep seeing being shared on social media, because yeah, I can kind of see it. I love this. I love Diana's like pained expression as she holds his seemingly lifeless body. And here's the thing. I love how the pain is always when she's holding the lasso. So it's like even she knows that it's kind of like the lasso showing her you love him, but for whatever reason you can't be with him.
Yeah, and it also it's also that is showing the truth, like that his emotions. It, well, even with in Wonder Woman 800, it explained that Clark is always trying to be happy, where he holds in his pain and he doesn't talk about it. He holds in that, trying to be vulnerable. And that's true. When um even the story Immortal Beloved, it was like he told Diana how he felt about or what he had to do, but he didn't tell Lois. It's something that is kind of like he doesn't share things with her. And they brush it off as in he doesn't want her to worry, but as a married couple, you are supposed to share these things. Why are you sharing them with a woman that, yeah, she's supposed to be your best friend, but the way DC kind of
Depicts it.
wants
It
it,
looks like there's more than friends.
not only that, but they depict it as kind of like a distant best friend, like they shouldn't be
Yeah.
that close. So
Yeah.
it's like, but at the same time, they still have them have these type of moments. So with Wonder Woman 800, it's like she understood his pain. He can talk to her and tell her how he feels, and she can make him feel better. Well, with this of course is a clickbait um cover, and it was Lois who had the lasso, but at the same time, that whole, like, again, the emotion is not there. It's not there like how um it was in Wonder Woman 175 with Phil Jimenez. Is not that, you know, with
Mm-mm.
trying to recreate those moments with Clark and Diana, um, and give those moments to Lois. You can't do that. This is the same thing they did with New Frontier. Is Diana's speech to Clark when she's telling him that he needs to be a leader. Lois has no idea what that means. She doesn't understand the stakes. She doesn't understand being in Justice League or whatever as a hero. But they gave Diana's lines to her just because they didn't want to, well, Bruce Tim didn't want to convey Clark and Diana's that close of a
Well,
relationship.
yeah, because we all know Bruce Timm wanted her to be with a rich kid with issues, a lot of issues.
Right. So again, with this cover though,
Hmm.
it speaks so much.
Hmm.
First, well, he's lost in
Hmm.
space, but the way that the colors just stand out, the way that the lasso is wrapping around the cape too, and just that whole thing, even in the back, how it's showing like a glow of, I guess, something breaking
Hmm.
and like the light is coming through. It's I don't know. It's like this should have been a story, or this cover, or this issue should have been Diana talking to Clark because she does understand him.
Yeah, because what this is because the story this cover tells me is I was lost, but with her I'm found.
Exactly.
So next cover, yeah, this one's very much like first off, Return to the New 52, but this one is very much like he's pressed up against a wall and Diana's like, "Come here, son."
Yeah, this it is a recreation of an older cover, but yeah, this is so much better. And
Yeah.
again, the controversy, uproar of, Diana backshot basically, but it's like it's very done tastefully.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with it.
It
It's
would be one thing if he had his hand there.
No, I mean, honestly, who cares? That's
Still, but I'm saying that they would have more of an argument with this. It's like no.
Yeah, but they always make an argument out of
They always
something.
make a complaint. They wouldn't be complaining if this was Lois.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just love this. And first off, Neil Adams, come on, dude. Fantastic artist. He nailed it with this. R.I.P. brother. And yeah, it communicates the passion. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
And the one, while we're talking about this cover, the one cover I forgot that I love so much and totally honestly, I forgot it was a cover, was Kenneth Rockerford, his young romance cover.
Okay. Actually, you know
That
what? I may
one,
be able to find that. Hang on one second. Let me unshare screen so I can look for that one because I may be able to find that cover.
oh yeah, it's definitely just right there. And
Kenneth Rockefeller, Young Romance, Superman, Wonder Woman. Go on, Britt.
yeah, that cover
Okay.
definitely,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
like, how did you miss this one?
Now that one, it was like that was my number one cover, and then for some reason I forgot that it was like a separate young romance. I was looking for it within um the Superman and Wonder Woman's covers. I don't know, just
Also, thigh
was a
action
passion.
right there.
Exactly. And this, I mean, the way it is drawn, this could have been easily sculpted. I mean, you have them basically on it looks like a rock or something like that, but it's shaped to where it definitely could have been a sculpture.
Hmm. Oh yeah, it
And
could definitely be a stat. And I just love speaking of passion.
yeah, this really conveys so much passion. You have First you have Diana's leg, then you have their faces, and it stands out. It's kind of like they are embracing after a battle.
Well, yeah, because in the air there's like a bunch of like swords and dead bodies and stuff.
Yeah, and then um well, we can take that out, the statue. But this could be perfect, you know, pretty much all the covers.
Well, speak for yourself. I want a statue of this.
Well, not with the dead bodies, because you wouldn't want that with as a wedding, because the
No,
thing
but
is,
no. But it could still be a good statue. It doesn't have to be a wedding thing. By the way, here's an interesting cover.
yeah, the jeans and tee,
Or this
love it.
one.
Yeah,
It's like she's helping him up after a battle. But yes, yeah, the jeans and tee. I wish they would have kept that. That actually looks really good.
honestly, within this arc, I love it when I guess their relationship is still kind of like a secret. So when the Justice League is called to help Clark and Connor, it's part of the dialogue is Diana looks at him or something, and it says that she wishes that she can call him beloved, but I guess their relationship is
I
a
think
secret.
also in this arc, they actually identify Wonder Woman as Superman's lover.
Yeah, Connor does. So
Ah,
yeah,
I
it
love that.
was.
Thank you, Connor.
So what I was saying about the statue is with the Jim Lee statue, a lot of people used it as engagement, use it as their um, wedding statue.
Which I'm so
All
gonna do.
all of all of the covers, all of the imagery with Superman and Wonder Woman, couples want that, and it will be used for their wedding. It will be used for their engagement. So it has to be something that is kind of universal like that. And if you want a variation of it, of showing like them dead bodies or whatever
Well, yeah,
defeated,
I want that as a fun statue. In terms of the romantic statue, yes, keep the one we have now with the Jim Lee.
yeah. But honestly, they should have a whole line of Superman and Wonder Woman
It's only
statues.
a matter of time before they have it, Britt, as we have every other piece of merch. So you mentioned that Manipul also kind of had a sort of a variation of that pointing cover.
Yeah, it looks like they might be in Smallville. It's the same type of background of like looking at the sunset or the sunrise, but crypto is featured. It looks like maybe Harley is right there in the little corner, but Clark and Diana are sitting on a tractor, and they
Mm-hmm.
just look more um interacting and closer together. And that's kind of why I like this, because it fits with the theme of how Clark introduced Diana more to Smallville, and we didn't get much of that
Mm-hmm.
after Justice League 14, or yeah, after Justice League 14. So with this cover, I just would have loved to see Clark and Diana more within the context of Smallville, and especially
True.
with having crypto there too.
Yeah, I liked what they did with the Justice League issues when they went to Smallville, and he says, "Hey, this is why I'm Superman." So again, that's another waste opportunity that they could have done. And then we get some Doug Mankey sketches. I love this bottom left one. Like, wow, I just love the way that looks. Again, the intimacy level. This one's like they're flying together, and I like the whole like dual headshot with this
Side
one.
view,
Yeah, side
yeah.
view.
So the side view one, it was basically, it's for Superman and Wonder Woman 13, and with the final cover, which it is like the it definitely showed the transition, the creative team transition, because you have a skull in the back, Diana with the sword, Clark looking very like just standing there, just stiff or whatever. They look very intimidating and not very like Tony's first cover. You have the dynamic of their whole worlds, blending together, and they're ready to battle. They're going into battle together, but you can still feel that warmth within them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
with with this, you can tell that it's a tonal shift. The tone is different, and how actually the bottom left was supposed to be the cover, the final cover, but because he who shall not be named, he wanted to turn the book more into a team up than a romance. Yeah, that was omitted. But yes,
Even
the
if it's kind of funny on the backs of the trades for like his issues, it says a power couple no more, and I'm like, they're together in this. What are you talking about?
yeah, the whole thing was about them like not being a power couple. And the thing is, why even keep the book? Because that is what the book is about. It's
Hmm.
about them being a power couple. So to say that they're not a power couple is just like, what's the point of the book? So with this, with the bottom left cover, it really showed that despite Diana being a warrior, if you wanted to convey that, she still has a softness, and Clark gives her that softness. And that really, really would have been a very um dynamic type cover, because so many covers have the man being like the tough one and the woman kind of giving that soft embrace or whatever. So to role reverse that in a way, that is the point of the relationship. Why mess that up?
Exactly. Then our last slide for this week is these cover designs for Superman Wonder Woman 3, which look awesome, like the actual version of her like wrapped in the cape, or it's like I love this one. She's probably waiting for him. It says on Mars, and she's like only wearing the cape, or the shirt one, which he who must not be named would repurpose. And then you have the humorous one where he's using his heat vision on her.
Yeah, the one with the shirt is that's very outgoing. I mean, Diana
Hmm.
on another planet or whatever, or in another shirt, just with the shirt is
There's
that's.
like cracks in the ground and everything. There's like rubble everywhere.
But she's posing like this. That is something totally outside the box, and just like you said, you can't do this with you know any other character,
Hmm.
and to convey even on a sketch the effortless sexiness is just like out of this world. And yeah, Diana with the cape wrapped around her like a dress, that is, and it looks kind of like a Grecian dress, like a one shoulder Grecian dress. And she's like leaning with her sword. And again, it conveys her confidence as a woman. And yeah, I just love these covers. And the last one,
Hmm.
this should have been a cover because Clark with the heat vision
They're
or
being
looking at the
playful.
being playful, this should have been a cover for sure because it really, again, it conveys the relationship as playful. Even if you want to make them as friends, it's still well, friends with benefits or something. It
Yeah, because
still
he's heat
gives you that.
visioning her ass. It's I'm like friends. Again, friends.
Yeah, they don't do that. But I mean, Clark and Diana do. They do things. It's complicated.
Yeah,
They
yes, it is. It's extremely complicated. Thanks a lot, DC. But yeah, so those are fantastic. There's like so many of those that I recognize because again, as a child of the new 52, a lot of those I saw how one of them is the background right now. But there's so many of them, like a lot of the classic ones that I had never seen before, and I'm like, and that's the thing that's one of the reasons why this show exists is to show people that guess what, this relationship is not, because there's this big like misconception on Twitter.
hmm
I like to say misconception, but part of me says it's maybe a lie, and that's intentional. That the Super Wonder relationship was a new 52
52.
invention, and I'm like, is it though?
Exactly. And no, it's not. It, it's not even a misconception. It's very much a lie, and it's like even if you give facts, it's still like talking to a brick wall that they will not accept it.
Yeah,
So,
it's
you
astounding.
know, so the less than 5% of Twitter X, honestly, I mean, they aren't helping DC.
No, they're not whatsoever. They're not.
Even Scott Snyder, in an interview that he had a few days ago, he said that basically DC and Marvel needs experiments. They need something like the New 52. And it's like, well, they had it and messed up. But for to have that be admitted, again, a lot of things now are being admitted, but it's kind of like, is it too late? And yeah, sometimes at some point it is too late because you have alienated potential fans and you have soured the burnt bridges and everything. And as a like a fan, investments, I like I said, I am very skeptical on everything. Um, I'm not even cautiously optimistic about anything. Even if we do have something that's just so like in your face, yes, this is Superman and Wonder Woman. I don't believe it. It's kind of
Either
like
it'll be a bait and switch or DC will find some way to screw it up.
exactly. So I really just don't take. I, when I first became a fan, I was very positive about it. I loved it, but from the years I've become so
Jaded.
yeah,
I was
and
kind of that way. It's just what I decided is that I'm just going to focus on the content that I enjoy. And if there's a new thing that comes out that I like, great. But mostly, I just want to talk about the books that I love so much.
exactly. And the thing is, it's like what makes it so, I'll say, a little bitterness is because, like I said, it's the admittance of the mistakes that you
Yeah.
say that New 52 was a mistake, but no, it's actually the reaction to the less than 5% on Twitter X, you know, the nostalgia. You know that is a problem, and yet you keep feeding into it and ruining the fan base, dividing the fan base, or alienating the fan bases. And again, for you to alienate an entire fan base because
An
of,
entire massive fan base is not even a small fan base that you gain because of the initiative.
yeah, for you to do that, and the fact that the sales reflected that with New 52, how they say that, it alienated longtime fans, but yet new fans came and it didn't really reflect that old fans left. It You did have lapse readers, but the amount of new readers basically, you know, gave new readers taking the place of the older readers and some to balance it out. But once Rebirth and everything else hit, it's like not only do you not have your new fans, but older fans that you thought will come back didn't come back.
Big surprise. But that's a topic for another stream. And as we didn't break 3 hours this week, one of these days we will. Depends on the topic, really. But so
Yeah.
Britt, do you have any teases for us?
Well, of course, I have all my one shots that I should, be finishing up. And like I said, the little mini stories, yeah, they just become longer and longer. So I will have some of those done. It is one I'm trying to finish of just, it's like I was inspired by the Justice League 12 cover, actually the Moonlight one.
Hmm.
And it should have been a quick one, but it seems like it's going to be longer. Um, I'll have that one. Then we have Austria, and actually, I would be doing a flashback of, I didn't really do a lot of Diana's pregnancy. So I thought of an idea of Clark and Diana going to like a pregnancy class,
Oh
and
boy. That's good. I love that.
so I'm in this phase of thinking of ideas of how to kind of fill in the blanks of more of that, um, more of that journey. And then, of course, I have a story with you that has me on
That's about to
an
go
emotional.
it's about to go nuts with what Britt and I were discussing off stream. Oh, because we have plans for this. Big plans, and we'll talk about that as we get there. But
Yeah,
it's freaking nuts.
yeah. The ideas that you bring to me, it either has me screaming of happiness and giggling and everything, or it has me bawling my eyes out.
She
And
always
it's like,
sends me an emoji that is like a crying cat. That's how I know I got gold.
yeah, because for real, I'm like, I'm in the, I'm, I might be in the middle of something, and I just get the text, and it says, like, I have an idea, and I'm like, oh Lord, hold on. Let me,
You have to mentally prepare when you see the word I. I'm gonna give you PTSD whenever you see the word ID on paper.
yeah, and I'm like, okay, let me prepare myself. And then when it's something happy, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm all, I'm sending you like the hearts and everything, and we're talking. Then you hit me with the, okay, but let me go to the emotional trauma. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Here
exactly.
I go with
Yep.
the bawling and the crying. I mean, I'm sniffling because I'm like, I'm imagining the scene in my head, so we can go back and forth with the dialogue and writing so it can flow. And it's kind of like just that whole scene, imagining it. It's like, oh my God, what have we done?
Yeah, I'm there with you too. That's kind of how I am. But as always, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your favorite cover is for Super Wonder, and we will see you next week. We talk about merchandising, where the real money is made.